Welcome to today's episode of So What's the Catch? The usual crew is with you again today. And where I don't know, what sport do you want to start with? It's not like some season got canceled or anything yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about.
Baseball is dead. Look at the sign, people.
And that's a dollar sign for the S in baseball, by the way.
Oh, nice. Good call.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
And the MLB ownership is trying to make sure that it remains extinct and never comes back, apparently, because they are asking for the moon.
Oh, what a complete cluster.
They're greedy.
This is so bad for the sport. It's so bad for fans. It's so bad for the players. It's the worst for the minor league players that are on the 40-man roster, because the minor league players that aren't on the 40-man roster are eligible to participate in the minor league season. The guys that are on the 40-man can't play. They can't practice. They don't get paid.
Yep. And for those who don't know, the first week of the season has officially been canceled. So that's where we're starting from with this conversation today. And let's be honest, like, the state of baseball wasn't great leading up to these discussions.
No, it wasn't.
It's a sport that's been fading in America. The NBA's popularity has kind of surpassed MLB, and it appears that NBA is the second favorite sport in America now by a long shot. And baseball is more comparable to the NHL.
I think even college football beats MLB.
What'd you say, Chert?
You think college football could be beating MLB? The ratings?
Ratings-wise, yeah, probably. Big games, big SEC games, rivalry games, of course, yeah.
Yeah, ratings-wise, I would say so. But the thing with college football is their season doesn't line up perfectly with MLB. Like, their season starts when the MLB season is kind of winding down, so they don't compete quite as much. I know,
they do kind of compete a little bit when baseball's getting into the prime spot, the best games. When you get to the World Series, that's when college football is directly competing. And I can tell you right now, college football crushes baseball every single time.
And that's the season we're talking about, James. Like, these are the big matchups. It's the premier teams, it's the premier players, and in the biggest games. So, like, regular season, early year, a lot of non-conference matches are outperforming postseason MLB games before they work out. And now look where we're at. Now we're looking at the first week of the season is officially canceled. It's not looking like we're getting much closer to an agreement at all. Yeah. So God knows how much of the season continues to be chipped away. And then the owners throwing out these rule changes with the larger bases and banning the shift and the pitch clock. It's like, this isn't the time for that. It doesn't feel like
it's not. I mean, they don't want to play. The owners do not want to play in April. April is the least profitable month of all of baseball. You have lots of cold weather games. You don't have people coming in through the gates. You have like the initial, like, maybe half a week where everyone's like, oh my God, baseball's back. Then nobody gives a shit until the All-Star game. Okay?
A lot of injuries in April too.
The owners would rather not play in April than come to an agreement. That's where we're at. And that's led to the situation we're at now. I mean, like it or not, baseball's been like the Titanic since like 94. Okay. This has just been one slow, almost 30-year sinking of the entire sport.
Yeah.
It's just not going to recover anytime soon. I mean, this is just making it worse. The 2020 discussions about how to resume their season, what ended up being the 60-game season, was just like the appetizer for what this is. I mean, that was ugly. That was brutal. You already had the accusations of not negotiating in good faith then. And that's when the CBA wasn't even on the table. Okay.
Right.
And now we're here and we don't have baseball. And I have no idea when that's going to come back. I've said it before. There's been many times where I said that agents told their players, see you in June.
Yep.
Yeah. And to go off of what you were saying earlier, James, about how, like, owners don't want to play in April. Well, that's the case. Just shave some games off the schedule altogether. Like, Like, I feel like 162 in itself is way too many games anyway. So if that's the case, just start the season. I'm just making more of a general statement.
So I get what you're saying. Here's the problem.
Money.
What the owners want is, in this scenario, is to shave off those games and not pay the players or anyone for those games. What would actually happen is the money that they're getting paid per game or week or whatever, what have you, that number would increase over the period of time. They just don't want to pay that first month. Okay, that's where we're at.
It seems like they don't care about the well-being of their players.
They don't. They don't. That's a fact. They don't.
And this isn't the first work stoppage in our lifetime, James. Like the 94 situation was terrible for the game. And let's be honest, the steroid era resuscitated baseball. Baseball was on the verge of death before. The steroid era resuscitated it, luckily. It's going to take something similar to dig baseball out of the grave that they find themselves in now, considering
another steroid cycle era.
What's that?
Another steroid era?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to take some really good baseball to really bring people back. A lot of exciting high-level play that's going to be needed to bring people back, and to anticipate that after a work stoppage when people aren't playing consistently. And it's usually not a good product when you run into stuff like this. So I don't anticipate some kind of revival of baseball happening like it did in the 90s.
I don't either. And when baseball does come back this year, if you remember what happened in 2020, a lot of guys got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. Okay. And so you're going to see the same thing again. You're going to see a lot of guys suffer major injuries, and it's going to suck. You're going to see torn ACLs. You're going to see torn rotator cuffs, torn UCLs. And any injury you can possibly imagine that's major and season ending will happen.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, like, one of the biggest problems baseball has in general, Brian, you know this, like, I don't like to see the same teams winning it every single year. It feels like in baseball, it's always going to be the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, any of those really big market teams, except for your occasional Kansas City Royals, that the run that they had from 2014 to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Or what the Tampa Bay Rays did in 2008 and their subsequent playoff runs. But generally, you don't see those small market teams. It's, like I said, the Yankees, the Dodgers, San Francisco, I would put in that big.
I mean, they were winning the World Series every other year for a decade almost.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get what you're saying, like, baseball does lend itself to those runs that Kansas City team, like that team like Kansas City has, or a team like that Tampa team has. Like, it does lend itself to those type of runs. But if you're talking about any sustained success, like let's say the Braves in the 90s, like, if that kind of success is not had by small market teams anymore, like, it just
That's
doesn't
what I'm saying.
Right. If there is success in a small market team, we applaud it and talk about parity and this and that. Usually the next year they don't even make the postseason.
Exactly.
So it's like, even if you get to the top of the mountain, it's short-lived.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the problem too, because look how quickly Kansas City's team fans have tuned them out. Like the Chiefs are the king of that town. And they just won a World Series not long ago. So,
yeah, 7 years ago.
Right.
I will say the last time we've had a repeat champion in baseball was all the way back in 2000 when the Yankees finished their three-peat. So while the usual teams are usually in the postseason, we've had a different winner every year. Sure, there's been the every other year with the Giants or whatever, and the Cardinals won their fair share as well. But it's not like we're seeing just repeat. It's not like when we saw the Warriors win 3 out of 4, or the went back to back, or the Lakers, or the Bulls in the 90s when they did the repeat. I mean, that's just not happening.
Or how about the Pistons every year?
I mean, the Pistons went to 2 in a row. Then they went to 3 in a row. Like,
they won once, but they were in the finals for a few years.
They were in the NBA Finals in 04 and 05. They won 04, lost 05, and then they were in the finals back at the end of the 80s before they won their back-to-back for the Bulls, won 3 in a row.
Right, and then you had the Lakers from 2008 to 2010 where they lost in 08, but won in 2009 and 2010. But
that's my point, really, is that we're not seeing stuff like that. We're not seeing runs like that. Sure, you're seeing a lot of teams over an extended period of time make multiple appearances, but that's going to happen in every sport. One team's going to make multiple appearances.
Yeah. In the NBA, it's been more like it's been weird. It's like all teams all over the place. I like it.
I mean, it is over the last couple of years, sure, but
Same with NFL.
We're not far removed from 4 straight years of Cavs Warriors. Let's be real here.
Right.
Right, we're not.
That's something you'll never see in baseball. You'll never see the same two. So yeah, baseball does lend itself to parity naturally more.
Yeah,
but
you
also have what we're talking about, Josh, where it's like you have a small market team like Kansas City win a World Series, and then they basically forget about the team within a number of less than 5 years.
Exactly.
And now they're back to being a small market, poor attendance. I mean, they get better attendance than we do, but like for a team that just won a championship, like not that long ago, you would think that they would sustain that for at least a little bit, but they haven't.
Right. That's the problem. Like, I don't like you had Philadelphia. They won the World Series in 2008 and went back to the World Series in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't been able to really do anything since then.
Real quick, Brian, the Rays are one of the teams that have worse attendance than Cleveland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're one of the few. There aren't many. There are not many.
Incredible.
Only a couple. But
yeah, and they just, not too long ago were world champions. And we haven't been there since 48. So that's kind of impressive that we have better attendance than them.
Yeah, the fact that the Rays were in the World Series back in 2020, although they came up short in that World Series bid, they have not won a World Series yet.
Right.
But
how do we feel about playoff expansion? Do we want to get into that? Because, I mean, it looks like that's obviously a big point of contention right now.
What they wanted to do was they wanted to go to the 14-team format like they had in 2020. And the players, if I understand this right, said, no, we're not going to do that. So they compromised and agreed on 12. And that's to do what you and I are saying, Brian, where it's like it makes games in September and October meaningful for teams like Tampa. Okay, maybe Tampa Bay is not a great example right now, but
bubble teams.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think baseball has another big problem too of its star players not getting on the biggest stage. You
Mike Trout.
At like Mike Trout, exactly. So expansion, I'm pro expansion in a way just because I would love to see a guy like Mike Trout in the postseason. Like in the NBA, we see all the best players in the postseason. And I think that's good for the game. So I think some level of growth would be good, but I think 14 teams, like to go from what we're at now to 14 is just, it's a dramatic change, and it almost changes the entire league. Not just the postseason. It's an entire different landscape with a 14-team playoff.
It waters down the field a little too much. The problem is, I agree with you. It allows for the star players who are on just 500 teams or maybe just above to possibly get in and be like, oh, Mike Trout is actually in the playoffs, or and any other guy in that discussion. But at the same time, it's like, are we really getting the best teams in, though?
I mean, record-wise, sure, but I mean, here's what I'll put. I'm pulling up last year's standings, okay? So we can see 6 versus 7, who would be in, okay? Because I think that's an important discussion to have. Because, one, there's a very real possibility that if you had 6 in, that you would have 4 teams from the AL East in the playoffs, okay?
Whoa.
Which is ridiculous. Okay.
Wow.
Same for 7. So I'm looking right now. If there were 16, there were 12 teams, 6 for each league last year. We would have had the Rays, Red Sox, Yankees, and Blue Jays in the playoffs.
Wow.
That doesn't fix anything. That just adds another team. This is the same problem that we have if we expand the playoffs in college football, where you just add another SEC team. Okay. You're just adding another team from a dominant group of players or group of teams. You're not inviting teams like Cleveland or Kansas City or the Mariners. You're just inviting another team that's really good from a division that otherwise missed the playoffs. I mean,
Good point.
Does this make anything better? I mean, be real here. Last year they would have had a better case for that in the National League, where the 83 and 79 Reds would have made it, and the 82 and 80 Phillies. Okay, but the 91 and 71 Blue Jays missed the playoffs last year. So did the 90 and 72 Mariners.
That's heartbreaking.
That sucks, but that's just how it is. I mean,
that's baseball. Yeah, that's always been accepted that that's part of the game. Like, win 100 games if you want to make sure you're in the postseason.
Pretty much. When you're division, win 100 games, especially if you're in the AL East. But the bigger problem here, and this is from a tweet I shared with you guys yesterday, is that ESPN already sold the playoff rights, or MLB sold the playoff rights to ESPN based on the 14-team format. So they backed themselves into a corner already, and so they're not willing to budge off of 14 teams in the playoffs.
Which sucks. It's just, and that's just bad business, you know?
That's very bad business. That's very bad procedural.
Yeah.
I mean, having a deal in place, not agreed to, but like, hey, if we get this and this is the format, we want you to do it, that's one thing. But like, it sounds like they already got everything done, and they just need to get everything else. They went backwards. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. They went backwards to forwards. That's yeah.
And that's where we're at right now. So they were trying to get 14 teams because they already sold the rights based off of 14 teams, and that's just the wrong way to do it. But here we are.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they ended up, agreeing on 12 as a compromise, I guess. But still, at the same time, it's like, again, yes, you're getting like the all-star players that you want in, but at the same time, are you really getting the best teams in? I don't think so.
I mean, you wouldn't even got Mike Trout or Ohtani in the playoffs last year. Okay,
and that's what we're trying to argue.
That's what you're trying to do, and they wouldn't have made it. Okay,
so that argument's out the window. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And so you also look at some of these other teams. Like, sure, like if you really like baseball, you can name players on the Blue Jays that aren't Vladdy Jr., but not many can.
Yeah. That's the problem.
You're not going to have this conversation with someone. They're going to bring up Kevin Biggio or Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Okay, that's just not happening.
Not with a casual fan at all.
No, like the four of us are like baseball fans, so we know our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
not
like
really me.
Okay,
well, three of us.
Okay, so three of us then. There we go. But like if you go up to the casual baseball fan that isn't a diehard fan, they're not going to know like Albert or Almora Jr. off the Cubs, or
right.
They're not going to know half of the players on the Guardians.
Not even Bieber.
People in town don't know half the players on the Guardians. Come on, they know Jose Ramirez, Shane Bieber, and nobody else.
That's
Bieber.
The Guardians should be 5 games into spring training right now.
Yep.
It's so we're focusing on just the regular season, but like it takes a month for these guys to get ready, at least a month.
For pitchers, it's like 6 weeks.
Exactly. That's why pitchers and catchers always have reported early, because it takes them longer. So you're pushing that process back too. I assume they're going to shorten spring training, if not do away with it completely. I don't know what they're planning on doing. They're going to have to give some teams exhibition games of some kind. Whether or not they take place in Arizona and Florida, that remains to be seen. But yeah, like it's a big problem. I don't think we're going to be seeing baseball play for quite some time.
And here's the other part of the equation is like for a lot of baseball fans, opening day is like supposed to be like this like holiday. Where it's like, oh, opening day is here, springtime. It's like when baseball season starts, that usually signals like the official start of spring in Americans
have always associated baseball with the spring. Once pitchers and catchers report, people are like, okay, we know that the weather's about to break. It's getting
exactly. And it's like everybody's in action, and just like on opening day for any sport, it's like, oh, we have a clean slate. Like everybody thinks they have a chance at going to the World Series. obviously we know some teams have no chance, like the Pittsburgh Pirates. But
yeah, they're a dumpster fire.
Yeah, but my overall point though is like for the baseball purists, you're taking that out.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to cancel Jackie Robinson Day, where
they'll move it.
They'll move it to a different day. It just won't be on the planned day.
Right.
Like what happened in 2020 with the 60-game season. They had a Jackie Robinson Day, even though it wasn't on the typical Jackie Robinson Day date.
Yeah, right. That's what I meant is like not playing it on the traditional date.
I mean, that's just what they're going to have to do, I guess. I mean, it's right now. I think they would be starting.
The day is kind of arbitrary too. It's more about the tradition of it is about something bigger than that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think that moving it off the official date really takes anything away from it. But I get what you're saying. Like it's a bummer, but
yeah. And like the other part is, I want to say it was going to be like a significant anniversary for Jackie Robinson Day. Like I think I heard that was that April 15th this year was going to mark the 70th anniversary of him breaking the color barrier, if I remember correctly.
I'm Googling currently. Hold on.
Don't quote me on that one.
Okay. April 15th was opening day in 1947, Robinson's first year in the major leagues.
I have an interesting thing to share with you guys that I've just kind of observed while I'm looking through the Guardians roster. There's only one player over 30 years of age on the active roster right now. Very young team.
Yeah, young team.
Very young team. So when you're talking about like a season being
who's over 30?
The only person over 30 is going to be I just saw it. Anthony Gose.
Anthony Gose. Okay. Former outfielder for the Tigers, converted into a flame-throwing left-handed reliever out of the bullpen.
Is it Gose or Goes?
It's Gose.
Goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one over 30 that's on the active roster right now. So young team. Spring training is super important for a young team and a young organization. So, like, the Guardians, I mean, this was never going to be a great year for us.
No.
But I would argue that we're going to be one of the teams that suffers the most out of it.
Absolutely. Because there's a lot of there's a couple key roster spots that need to evaluate this season. Spring training's an opportunity for them to do that. You know, most notably the first base position, and who the hell's playing first base this year.
Right.
Then you look at the outfield, there's some positions that they've needed to try and figure out for the past, 5 years that they failed to do so.
Yeah.
And there are guys that they're essentially up against it where like it's make it or break it time, Bobby Bradley. Okay?
Yeah, so I was just about to say Bobby Bradley, they're going to shove him down our throat at first base another year.
Yeah. Or Yu Chang.
No more Yu Chang. And then, I mean, you don't know what the hell's going to happen with Nolan Jones. I mean, Nolan Jones' stock has plummeted from a couple of years ago. He was very highly thought of just a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, but he has since cratered in the stock department. And
big time.
He is not looked upon well as highly regarded as he once was. Right. So that's also another problem, is trying to figure out how he's going to fit into this whole thing. Then
sounds like Jordan Love in Green Bay.
There's the gajillion middle infielders that they have and how they got to sort that out. And I mean, that's before the fact
that shortstop right now.
I mean, that's before the fact that you have to acknowledge that with the Guardians not playing games, with the season being shortened, with not having the minority owner in place, because that can't happen right now. I mean, what's the likely possibility we're not even going to see Jose Ramirez on this team this year because of this?
Right.
That's a good point.
And the other part of the equation is like, they just rebranded to become the Guardians with the new logo, which a 5-year-old could have drawn something better than what they came up with, but still. And it's like, when you go through as significant of a rebrand as they did, you want that full season so that people can seemingly get excited about it. I understand what you guys are saying overall about how, like, after the first week, the joy and all that would have gone away.
It was more like a nationwide comment about how people like stopped paying attention to baseball intently after about 3 or 4 days. But in Cleveland, after opening day, Game 2 was sparse for attendance. Let me tell you that, because I went in 2019 to opening day, then Game 2, and if there was like 5,000 people there, I would have been surprised.
There used to be a real high demand for opening day tickets in Cleveland. Real high, and not opening day. I mean the whole series. That first series used to be impossible to get tickets for.
Oh yeah.
And now, I mean, they're doing everything to get people there. You know,
I buy the cheapest upper deck seats, and I stand over in the corner because nobody's there. Okay, because they're cheaper. The upper deck seats that are like last row are cheaper than buying the standing room only ticket.
Yeah, I'm a home run porch guy. I'm a home run porch guy, so I just get the cheapest ticket I can buy, and I go watch the game on the home run porch. That's my spot. I've always watched from there.
Mm-hmm.
Got my hands on a couple foul balls over there. It's fun. I like being over there. So I use the same strategy. I just get the cheaper upper deck seat because it's cheaper than the standing room only ticket.
Yeah.
So.
Usually I like to be in the outfield along I think it's right field side. Yeah, right field by the bullpens.
Yeah. They just switched the bullpens around out there in Cleveland too.
Yeah, they're like almost like dead center now.
Yeah. I like having the bullpens like right in the middle of the crowd like that. It's cool to when you do have seats in that area. It's cool to watch guys warm up out there. I like it.
But I agree with what your original point, like from when we started the show, Brian, that football has easily passed baseball. I think the NBA has surpassed baseball. If the NHL can get their shit together, they may actually have a chance at somehow passing baseball. But
it's crazy to say, but baseball is becoming a niche sport to follow.
Yeah,
it is. It really is. And
it used to be the most mainstream, easy sport to follow. Like listen on the radio in your car. Like it was just such a part of the culture. And now it's like baseball fans are kind of few and far between. Like people who really watch the game and love the game and, you know, pay attention to the stats and play fantasy and all that stuff. Like it's becoming a really niche thing in this country, and that's not good for the game.
Right.
That's another point I wanted to make about this whole lockout in general is just like, this is just bad timing for them to be debating a lot of the things they're debating. Like, yeah, like there's stuff with the game that needs changed and can get better and they can improve, but like, let's have the games at least being played before we talk about changing the rules.
Right. And the other thing is like when they come back, or if they come back at this point, they're going to lose the month of April because I don't see them getting a deal before April is done.
No, April.
So at best, they'll be starting their season in May, which means you're going right up against the NBA playoffs. You're going right up again. I know hockey isn't as popular, but still you're going against the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I would say May to July is when people are starting to get into the football mindset. Like, because they know that August and September is when the NFL comes back into play. So
you got the draft coming up, and then, you know, everybody's talking about rookie, mini camp and training camp.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like baseball, I feel like I agree with what both of you are saying. They really have backed themselves into a corner, and unless they get some dramatic event like, you know, the Sosa McGuire home run battle, which whether you agree with how they got their home runs or not, it added excitement to the game. I can appreciate that.
Still had to make contact with the ball, all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying I still appreciate it regardless. But baseball needs something like that. I mean, like, I would say that the Astros scandal kind of did that for a period of time because people were hating the Astros left and right, and when they would come to like Yankee Stadium or something like the Dodgers or whatever, it was like, I need to watch this game. But, that whole thing has worn off. And it's like, now what?
Right.
I will say with the delayed season, the one thing we're going to see is I shared this tweet from Jason Stark with you guys yesterday about the unbalanced schedules. Because back in 95, all the teams played 144 games, but their seasons were not symmetrical. And the examples he gave were that the Indians at the time played 5 versus the Angels, 7 against the A's, and 9 against the Rangers and Mariners, while the Royals played 12 against the Angels, 13 against the A's, 14 against the Rangers, and 12 against the Mariners. Right. So a similar schedule thing is most likely going to happen with that. Again, the way they schedule games was entirely different then. I'm not sure when the Central Divisions got introduced into baseball off the top of my head, but I have a feeling it was probably around there. And that was when interleague play was only for like a month in the middle of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I have no idea how much of an impact it will have, but that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
First of all, I like that interleague play is not just in 1 month where it's like National League.
I liked it better. I liked it better like that. I did.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it better because it with the way that the two leagues were different at the time, because now we're going to have the universal DH. At the time, you had one where the pitchers batted and one where the pitchers didn't bat. Mm-hmm. And so you're used to playing American League teams all the time. When you have that short period of time of interleague play, it gives you something new and different to look at.
Yeah, kind of refreshes the season a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little palate cleanser, a nice little break. Right.
Yeah, and it kind of gives it a little bit of pageantry too. It's like the ambiance of, it's interleague play. It puts a spotlight on the game for a couple weeks. Well, back then it was a month, and I did kind of like that too, because it was like you could kind of plan your baseball. However many games you go to. Like I always would plan on going to at least one of the interleague games, and now it's like you look at the schedule. You could go to an interleague game any time of year, and I don't know. It kind of lost some of its luster when you do have an interleague opponent.
Yeah, I understand that. The one cool thing that Major League Baseball is doing now is they're having like divisions play the entire division. So like this year, the AL Central is scheduled to play the NL West. The only annoying part about it is like some teams you only play a 2-game series, whereas with the other teams in the division you play 3-game series. I always hated the 2-game series. For me, they're pointless. Like, okay, what?
It's just a way to get games in. It's all that is. Is sometimes you find yourself backed into a corner when you're making a schedule, I guess, and you just got to figure out a way to get games in. Be like, okay, well, these two teams aren't playing. They need to be playing here. There's only a 2-day break where they can play. And, you usually have one team having an off day beforehand, the other team having an off day the other for a weekend, because it's usually like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday, 2-game schedule. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's a good point.
So,
one last thing on baseball before we move on to football. Okay. Something that I saw this morning that I threw on our show sheet here is that with the delay, and if it continues, high-profile players such as Pete Alonso and Shohei Ohtani will have their service time manipulated, which will delay them becoming a free agent by 1 year.
Oh, wow.
If it's 15 days of missed games, they'll have one more season to wait.
Wow. That's huge. That's really
so. If you're an owner, maybe not Steve Cohen, but maybe if you're the owner of the Angels, you want to wait that extra year so you don't have to shell out big bucks for Shohei.
Yeah,
that's huge. That makes the world of difference for that team specifically.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Cohen just got like fuck you money, so he's just gonna he doesn't care.
Right. That's a really good point. An extra year of extra time before you got to pay up is a big deal.
And that's what most of these negotiations have been about. It's been service time manipulation. That's been a lot. It's been a very key point. And the owners are going to find a way to manipulate service time one last time, possibly, before we even get a new CBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shifting to football now, Kyler Murray, he's not happy.
No, he's not.
And
Come
yet
to Cleveland.
and yet
Come here.
but
That's all I got to say to that.
But before we get to that part, what the hell is Arizona thinking? For some reason, they gave Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim extensions. What? Or
I don't know what they're doing with that.
They're tanking.
Steve Keim's he's overseen probably one of the more successful runs for the like before Steve Keim. They had I think 4 or 10 win seasons in their history, and they've had 6 under him or something like that. It's something like that. I don't remember what it is, but they've had more success under Keim. But Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is all that good as a coach. I think he's incredibly overrated. I wouldn't have done this, especially when the release by Kyler Murray's agent came out, which was incredibly lengthy. And I understand where Kyler Murray's coming from to a point, but dude, you haven't played well enough to be doing this, really. I mean, he started fast in the past couple seasons, but he's faded down the stretch.
He's
and
a 2-time Pro Bowler.
Don't care. Then he had his original playoff performance. It's just really, you're going to play this game now? Doesn't really seem all that wise. I mean, because what was the big knock on Kyler Murray coming out of college? It's his size, right? So what happens is that early on in the season when he's very healthy and he hasn't been hit, he's fine. Then eventually the hits start to pile up, and then he has more bumps and bruises, and he can't perform well enough. That's where we're at.
right.
And
His numbers aren't bad.
Huh?
His numbers aren't bad.
Okay, but he's faded down the stretch 2 years in a row after starting incredibly red hot.
Right.
It's not a coincidence.
Sure, look at this season. The Cardinals start off undefeated, 7-0 or 8-0, something like that.
I remember that.
And then what happened down the stretch? They lost to the Packers on a short week. They lost to the Colts on Christmas. They lost to the Rams on Monday Night Football. And then they lose
In the
chance.
wild card.
They got crushed in the wild card by the eventual Super Bowl champion LA Rams. It's happened countless times with Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach and Kyler Murray as the quarterback. Coincidence?
Kyler should come here.
I think not.
I mean, we'll talk about the quarterback situation here in Cleveland a little later.
You don't think Kyler would be a good fit?
No. I think Kyler's too small. Okay, he can make incredible plays, but I think he's too small.
What about Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson's taller than him, and he doesn't play the same way that Kyler Murray does. I think Kyler Murray's too small.
I don't want to go from one short Oklahoma quarterback to another short Oklahoma quarterback who down the stretch.
A shorter Oklahoma quarterback. Yeah.
And we've seen how big of a problem that's been for Baker. I mean, how many balls get tipped down at the line of scrimmage? He's tops in the league in that category.
And here's the other problem. We saw Kyler and Baker both win Heisman trophies, but think about what team they were playing for, B, who was the head coach, and C, what conference were they in? I'll give you the answers. A, Oklahoma. B, Lincoln Riley. C, the Big 12. It makes the quarterback look better than they really are by playing at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley as the head coach and playing in the Big 12.
More often than not, that's correct. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, but it's usually a pretty good rule to follow, by the way. But what this Kyler Murray situation really comes down to is he wants to secure his financial future now that he's extension eligible. Okay. Because that's what he is now. He can now sign a contract extension. And what he really wants to avoid is having a season like Baker Mayfield's this year, or having an issue where they simply can't come to an agreement on a contract extension. What if he plays poorly? What if he suffers a season-ending injury in week 1? Guess who has no leverage anymore in contract talks? That's why he did this. That's why he wants to get it done now.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, especially in a game like football. And especially for a guy who's on the edge of like being, is he a guy or is he not? He's kind of one of those guys on the bubble. And so when you're one of those players, like, yeah, securing your financial future is like he feels that pressure right now. He's in a very similar situation that Baker's in. So I think they're both acting very similarly based off of the same set of circumstances, really.
If I had to pick, if you like put a gun to my head and said, you have to pick one quarterback to give a contract extension to, I guess I would go with Kyler because I would say he's more athletic and you can do, I don't want to say quarterback draws, but we've seen Arizona do quarterback.
You can do more with Kyler than you can with Baker, and Kyler's ceiling is higher. I get exactly where you're going.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with all of those statements.
You have more options that you can go with.
Right.
Offensively. And so, like, between Baker and Kyler, yeah, I'd pick Kyler, but I wouldn't be thrilled about it either. You know what I mean?
No, you wouldn't.
Neither would I.
I mean, we've seen what happens when guys get hit a lot, and Kyler Murray gets hit a lot. They break down.
Yeah.
I mean, does anyone remember the conversations people were having 5-6 years ago about Cam Newton?
RG3 too.
And you would say Cam Newton and this isn't sustainable. Everyone would just say, "Oh, you're being a hater. What are you talking about?" The dude's a shell of himself, okay? And he became a shell of himself shortly after that Super Bowl run.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, he actually had some good seasons after that.
Not really.
No.
Not really.
He had like 2.
And before you say it, we don't care how many Pro Bowls.
He hasn't made a Pro Bowl since that Super Bowl.
And
that makes sense.
You could also put RG3 in that same discussion also.
I mean, you can a little bit. His is more because he had that ACL injury and he rushed back from it.
Would you put Johnny Manziel in this?
Incredibly. What about Johnny Manziel? Why are we bringing him up?
Apples to oranges.
What do you say, Brian?
It's the RG3 thing's a little bit different because he tore his ACL and he rushed back. I mean, if everyone remembers, it was that Ready for Week 1 campaign that he started, and
yep, I remember.
You know what I mean. It just he put himself up against it and came back earlier than he should have.
Yeah.
Which honestly, all of that led to Kirk Cousins having a career, so I'm sure Kirk Cousins is kind of happy a little bit.
100%. Yeah.
I feel like the same type of discussion is happening about Lamar Jackson right now because he's the same type of quarterback.
Yeah. You want to name a different type of quarterback, but someone in a very similar situation in terms of getting hit a lot is a guy down in Cincinnati. He is getting absolutely destroyed in the backfield, and he's a guy that's already had a serious injury.
Burrows?
So, that's one of those things that it's something to look at, and something to consider. He's not obviously as aggressive as a Cam Newton or an RG3 when it comes to running the ball, but he is a guy that's getting absolutely ate up in the backfield and taking a lot of hits, and we've seen that can really shorten a quarterback's career.
It does. I mean, even guys who weren't necessarily all that good, if they get hit a ton, their careers are shortened. I mean, look at David Carr when he got drafted by the Texans. He got just ran over all the time, and I mean, I don't know if he has it anymore, but he had the single season record for being sacked.
Yeah,
he would have been a good quarterback, David Carr.
What?
I always keep thinking David Carr, if he wasn't drafted there, probably would have been a good quarterback.
He might have been. I mean, we had the same conversation about Tim Couch here. If he wasn't drafted here.
Yeah, it's 3 years earlier. We did the same thing with Tim Couch. It's just like you saw the same thing happen with with an expansion franchise in Houston. They drafted a guy and didn't put any offensive line in front of him, and he got destroyed, and it shortened his career. And
same with Andrew Luck too. That exactly happened to him.
I mean, but he wasn't on an expansion team, though.
He was on an established team.
There were still good players in place when Andrew Luck got drafted. I mean,
he landed in a really good spot.
He wasn't protected that well.
I mean, sure, but he didn't have the, Dave Wallabaugh and Jim Pine blocking for him. Okay. It's a little bit different than the expansion Browns team. Okay.
Right.
Oh my God, those names. What about Ryan Tucker?
Yes, I remember Ryan Tucker. How about Rob Manfred?
Or how about Jeff Fain? A one we drafted.
Jeff Fain.
Was he? He was bad.
Jeff Fain wasn't bad.
He's better than
not as good as Alex Mack.
No, he wasn't as good as Alex Mack. That's fine, though. I mean, Jeff Fain was a very good center. Then we decided that we wanted Charles Bentley instead. His knees collapsed. He almost lost both of his legs because of staph infection.
Yeah,
his career was ended.
Hey, shout out my guy Hank Fraley too. That's my uncle.
Oh, yeah.
My uncle Hank.
That either. Now I see why. Are you related to him?
Yeah, shout out to Uncle Hank. Hope you and the family are well.
I did not know that.
Yeah, pretty fun fact.
Yeah.
What else we got on here in terms of NFL?
You're joking. You are joking.
Anyway, let's talk about this Garrett Wilson situation. This is a good one because obviously, being in Ohio, a lot of fans are clamoring for them to take either Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave. Mm-hmm. And I thought, James, you pulled up a really interesting quote from Matt Bowen of ESPN, his criticism of Wilson, that he is loose within the route stem, which is a pretty important thing in the NFL for an NFL receiver.
It is. It's very important. And, it's okay if you're loose within the route stem. But if you remember, we had a guy on our team last year where they used a different descriptor of the exact same thing. And that word was freelancing. Okay. And that was Odell Beckham Jr. Okay. Yeah. And obviously Baker and him never got on the same page. I don't give a shit that Baker Mayfield played or thrown passes to Garrett Wilson before. Okay. I don't care.
Nobody cares.
I don't care. He threw passes to OBJ before OBJ was here too. Okay, that didn't mean shit. Yeah. So I look at this. I'm like, okay, if you're going to stick with the same quarterback here, you can't draft someone loose within the route stem as a descriptor of their ability as a route runner. And
you're walking right back into an OBJ situation again.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to stick with Baker, you need to find someone who's incredibly rigid in the route stem, does not deviate from the play as called. Because that's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we get him?
Drake London is an interesting choice, the receiver from USC.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you want to talk about Drake London? I don't want Drake London.
Mm-mm.
I do not want him. Short term, I'm concerned about his ankle. Okay. So his immediate contributions this season will be limited in one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1. 2, the dude has played primarily out of the slot. The Browns don't need a slot receiver. They need an outside receiver. What do we do?
They already got one.
I mean, who knows if Jarvis Landry is going to be here? All things pointing to no. But they need an outside guy. Okay, getting a slot guy does not solve the problems that they've had for the past couple of years. It doesn't. And this seems kind of inconsequential to the whole conversation, but I'm totally against drafting USC wide receivers. Sorry.
What about Jameson Williams?
I mean, I have concerns about his injury, but that's a different story. But I don't touch USC wide receivers. I don't touch USC quarterbacks either. I don't trust USC. The fail rate on those guys is so high that it's. I know you can't.
Actually, USC linebackers are reliable, but that's about it.
So we have other areas of need though that urgently need addressed, and in this draft, like the deepest part of this draft is the guys up front, like
wide receivers.
No, it's like the offensive line and defensive line, like the front 7 on each side of the ball. This is a deep draft for that. We have needs in both of those. Mm-hmm. So for me, in that first round and that second round, do we have a second round pick? We have a second round pick, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah. To me, in those first 2 picks, you might want to go with some of those guys, because they're going to get better value in terms of that level of pick than they were going to get with a receiver down there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a wide receiver later in the draft, honestly, just because I don't think that any of these guys are a sure thing. I think that the question is Garrett Wilson, and And same with Olave. Olave's a guy who's got a slight build. He's not necessarily the best fit for the Browns right now either. So if you eliminate those two guys, and then you also look at Drake London and, the issues we have with him, I don't know that they necessarily are going to take a wide receiver there.
I think it's very real possibility they go defensive end.
Yeah, me too.
And speaking of, you mentioned wide receivers late in the draft. Speaking of that, I have a hot take for you guys.
Let's hear it.
About a receiver a couple years ago the Browns drafted, Mr. One Donovan Peoples-Jones. Are you ready?
He's good.
I have a couple for you. Okay, one, the production we will see out of Donovan Peoples-Jones will be very similar to what they got out of peak Rashard Higgins. Okay, which is not a lot. It's not very good.
No, I agree with that.
Two, if Donovan Peoples-Jones did not go to Michigan, he goes undrafted.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a single 100-yard game at Michigan.
He didn't. You get rid of that block M next to his name, and he goes to Indiana or something, or Purdue.
He was a 5-star recruit who never really lived up to his potential at Michigan. He had an impressive draft combine, which, again, made him overrated, which happens to a lot of guys.
Yep.
But he's always been a guy with an incredible amount of talent that hasn't really matched that with his production on the field.
He's like a good, maybe 3 receiver.
No, he's a 4th receiver.
Yeah,
I said Rashard Higgins, and I stand by it. He's Rashard Higgins.
I think that's
he's
fair.
not Rashard Higgins. I think he's better than Rashard Higgins.
He's better, but the production you're going to get out of him is Rashard Higgins.
Yeah. Production-wise, he's about the same. I think he's more
Joe
talented,
Juravicious.
more gifted than
Joe
Rashard.
Juravicious has way more talent and way more production than Donovan Peoples-Jones did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you said that, you made me think about it.
Or Keenan McCardell.
So I actually agree with you on that one.
I mean, where's the production we're getting out of Donovan Peoples-Jones? He's suddenly just going to become like this superstar guy.
The other thing was
He had 500 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Okay, that's like what Rashard Higgins gives you on an average year, on a good year for Rashard Higgins, not an average year. An average year.
Look at young receivers and the production that they're, look at Minnesota, look at, the young receivers in the league and Jamar Chase. I mean, these guys are getting 1,600 yards their first and second year in the league. And we're talking about 3 touchdowns and 500.
I think Peoples-Jones is a project. I think he could be good within 5 years from now.
That's not.
Who cares?
Eternity in the NFL.
It is so long. It is so long. We can't sit here and wait for this guy to be. I mean, the reality is, if the Browns move on from Jarvis Landry,
instant gratification so much.
That's the way the NFL works, man. I don't know how to tell. I hate to break it to you.
And we've been putting off winning for 23 years now. I'm done with putting off winning.
And
sorry, but that strategy's dead in Cleveland. We've been doing that for decades.
And newsflash, Chirk, the Buccaneers and Rams have shown you the new blueprint to winning in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good segue into this Browns plan to build an expansion team for Andrew Berry.
I hated that comment.
Yeah,
because it doesn't apply.
That comment you just made is one Andrew Berry would go, yeah, what Chirk said. Why you guys always want instant gratification?
Look
an expansion.
Sure, the Browns have needs all of the roster, but they have several foundational pieces in play that you can't just build like an expansion team. You have to have things kind of focused in an area or two of we need to address this position or position group.
I agree. To talk about building an expansion team as if they're starting.
I wouldn't say something like that.
That's what Andrew Berry said. They plan to build an expansion team.
I didn't say something like that, did I?
No, you didn't.
You're saying that's what Andrew Berry said.
That's what Andrew Berry said. You're not Andrew Berry. 5-6 years ago when they were 0-16 and 1-15 and shit, you can do that because this team was devoid of talent. Okay, right. You were an expansion team essentially.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson kept saying on the radio we were a talented team every single week.
He's an ass clown. But anyways, you look at the team. They have Myles Garrett. They have JOK. They have Denzel Ward. Greg Newsome looks really good. I mean, that's just a handful of guys I mentioned immediately on defense. That's before getting to the offense. You have Cole Antonio. You have
They have
Wyatt Teller. You have Nick Chubb. You have Harrison Bryant. Those are all foundational guys to build around.
Yeah, 100%.
but not Njoku.
No, I mean he's on the list of things to talk about today. Don't you worry.
Or Austin Hooper.
I think Austin Hooper's gone.
One of them's got to be gone. You know?
Why don't we even get Austin Hooper and overcharge him that much? Like, there was a reason he was doing productive, and it was because he knew that contract was coming. Once we gave it to him, he was done.
The reason why he was productive, I can answer this, is because he was in a more pass-happy offense in Atlanta and had a superior quarterback in Matt Ryan. Okay?
Yeah, I could have told you that.
Kevin Stefanski has not utilized Austin Hooper in the same manner that he was used in Atlanta.
They kind of like forced it.
Even though they ran a very similar offensive system.
He feels forced on the team.
I mean, I don't know. But here's what I'll tell you, is that while they ran a very similar offensive system in Atlanta, it's different enough that where Austin Hooper's catch opportunities are not at the same rate. They're not.
No. I mean, but that's the problem overall with this offensive system. It's very run happy, run centric, run happy, whatever word you want to use there. So
fine if you're run centric, okay, that's fine. It's fine if you're based off everything off of the run, off of similar looks. What you need to do is, if you're running an offense like this, is be efficient in the passing game.
And they're not.
Exactly. And it needs to be. You need to be able to get good production out of their quarterback, and they really haven't. I mean, I don't care.
A good game manager to run this type of offense, and Baker's not even good at game management.
He's not even that. And Brian, you had your run-in with Pitt yesterday of talking about Baker Mayfield's ability. Okay, he was never a top 10 quarterback over an entire season. He wasn't even a top 10 quarterback over half a season. Okay.
Right.
How do you feel about his combine video that I sent you?
Who gives a shit about his combine video? That was 5 years ago.
Again, the reason...
Why did they say quick feet work?
Feet work and athleticism are not the same.
Right.
I told you this in the Instagram
channel. Quote Shaquille O'Neal.
What?
I don't know what comparison that is. Okay.
I said feet work. That was.
Oh.
Having good footwork is not the same as being athletic. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at how quick he passes too.
I mean, that's a combine. He doesn't have anyone coming in at him. There's no rushers.
Gym shorts and shit. It's like it's.
I would look good at a combine. There's no one rushing at me. I get to take my time, and there's nobody covering a receiver. If you look bad, that's more of a red flag than somebody looking good as a positive. Okay.
Right.
That's the way to evaluate the combine. Is somebody incredibly bad? That's when you get concerned. You're not going there for positives. You're going there to look for negatives. Okay.
You should play tag football then.
This is the proper way to scout players. You don't sit there and try to put together a list of this guy can do this. No, you start with what can't they do. Okay?
That's true.
You play flag football.
What can't they do? You will learn more about the player than if you sit there trying to figure out what he can do.
And Church, here's the other thing. Remember what I said earlier about how quarterbacks who have come out of Oklahoma recently have only looked good because of Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, and Big 12. Same logic applies to Baker Mayfield. The only reason he won Heisman Trophy and looked good at Oklahoma is because Lincoln Riley, he played at Oklahoma, and he was in the Big 12. If he played in the SEC his whole career, he wouldn't have won the Heisman. He wouldn't have even been a Heisman finalist. Nobody would have even been talking about him. That's the fact of the matter.
He's a bum. I wish that we could just move on from him so we don't even have to talk about him anymore. It's just exhausting. It's like, what good is there to say about this guy at this point?
What he can fire up a team?
He went to the playoffs.
So what?
He's the best quarterback of the Browns franchise.
What?
No, that's false.
Not saying much.
That number one, that's false.
Right.
If you want to say post 99, I can maybe entertain that conversation. Because that's where we're at now. We're not at the definitive best since '99 anymore. I'm sorry.
That's like you walking into a kindergarten class and bragging about being the smartest one in the room.
I mean, or when Billy Madison won the dodgeball match in the movie Billy Madison. Okay.
That's a fair comparison as well.
You kick the shit out of some, what was it, first graders, kindergartners for that. But I mean, let's be real here. I mean, if you want to talk about better quarterbacks in Browns history than Baker Mayfield, I have 3 right off the top of my head. That's Bernie Kosar, Brian Sipe, and Otto Graham. Okay, and it's not even close. Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure there are more along the way that were better than he was.
Testaverde even.
Yeah.
You put Testaverde over him?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, I would take Vinny Testaverde over Baker.
You put Testaverde.
I would. Okay.
I would take the Vinny Testaverde replaced Bernie Kosar, where that Vinny Testaverde wasn't even that good at that moment in time over current Baker Mayfield. Okay.
Okay. Wait. What about Brian Hoyer? Would you put him over Baker?
There's a conversation to be had there, I think, especially in this particular offensive scheme that they run, because it's very similar. It's a derivative of what Brian Hoyer ran. Okay. But if we're looking at other quarterbacks who were better than Baker Mayfield was, I mean, you can look at Kelly Holcomb. You can look at Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson. Period of time. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a conversation about Brian Hoyer that can be had, but it's not as just clear cut. Baker Mayfield is better than everyone else since '99 anymore. That doesn't exist. Having that conversation is nonsense.
So you think he's no longer number 1 in that list of the 99?
No. There's a conversation to be had about where he sits. It's not as clear cut as everyone tries to make it out now and tries to make it out a couple of years ago.
And here's my
being the only one to win a playoff game gives him way more credit than he deserves.
Right.
He won a playoff game too.
That's what I just said. Being the only one to win one since we came back gives him. I mean, that's the only argument for him, really, is that he won a playoff game. None of those guys did. So.
And when he won that playoff game, he was kind of sloppy at the end of the second quarter. He was like playing
he
bad.
Was. I mean, that's right. But I mean, let's be real here. The defense helps take him out to a 28-0 lead by getting turnovers.
But someone to blow it, that's Baker.
The first play of the game, and then Ben Roethlisberger managed to become an interception machine early on in the game, which gave the Browns advantageous field position. Okay.
When the circumstances are perfect, Baker can do okay.
No, Baker was even bad in that game. He still wasn't good. He was like bad in the second half.
Right.
Aren't you the one trying to defend Baker Mayfield right now?
What's happening?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, my biggest problem though with the Browns,
curveballs. That's what's happening.
My biggest problem with the Browns, not just with Baker Mayfield, but just in general, they try to put a square peg in a round hole where, like, they don't develop their offense around what the quarterback can do well. They're just like, hey, here's the offense. Don't care if your skill set fits it or not. Go run it anyway. And it's like, well, that's not going to get you jack shit.
Well, the problem is that Baker doesn't have the skill set to run any NFL.
He struggles across the board, but if there's an offense that Baker Mayfield's going to succeed in, it's this one. Okay. We saw him play well for half a season underneath Kevin Stefanski in 2020. Okay. This is the only version of an offense where Baker Mayfield's going to look successful. We've seen him in various offenses, and he is significantly better in this than when we saw under the Freddie Kitchens experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just talking about in general, not specifically Baker Mayfield.
I mean, that goes for every NFL team, though. That's not
a player either. He's not going to take a surgery.
Okay.
What? You said that goes for every NFL team?
The teams making players do what they can't do. I mean, that goes for every NFL team, and teams are more lenient now, and they're less rigid about their offensive philosophies than they were even 10 years ago. They're a lot more open to doing more things. I mean, you look at guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, they would have been stuck in pro-style I-formation drop-back offenses just 10 years ago.
Yep.
And you would have said, run it. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you're doing. This is what you're going to do. I don't care what you're better at. You're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's gotten better, but I mean, NFL teams across the board have failed repeatedly at trying to get quarterbacks to work.
Yeah. I feel like staying with Patrick Mahomes for just a sec, I think that Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy actually need to rein him in a little bit, because I feel like he's gotten into this mindset where, like, he can make any play, anytime, whatever, and it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, look at what happened on the final play of the AFC Championship with 5 seconds left. Why are you throwing a backward pass to Tyreek Hill? And from what I've heard, it was Mahomes who convinced Andy Reid to go for it on that 4th down. So it's like,
yeah, that was what Mahomes. That's what he came out and said after the game. But what I'll tell you is this: as far as Mahomes and the issue that they're having in Kansas City is that a lot of teams are playing deep coverages, forcing them to throw shorter passes. Okay. What makes Kansas City so electric and so amazing is that when teams don't run like cover 4 against them or quarters, that they're able to complete passes down the field. But when they face that quarters coverage, that takes away the deep ball, which makes Patrick Mahomes have to throw lots of check down passes. And it's not as exciting. And forcing teams to put together drives like that is, if you don't have a defense that forces turnovers, that's the ideal way to go about it. I mean, you got to force them to put multiple plays together over and over again and go on those 10, 11, 12 play drives, because it's hard to do.
Yeah. I see a little bit of what you're saying though, Josh. There's an element of like street ball to his game that appears in moments where, the game is a little bit bigger than that, like some of the sidearm throws or the no look passes, like sometimes they come at moments where a more conservative approach is called for. And I think that's based basically off of him just being so damn good for the start of his career. He has had so much success in this league, like in a way that, most young quarterbacks never experience in their career. So yeah, you got a little cocky, you got a little arrogant, he started maybe getting a little looser with his throws, but, I don't have a problem with a guy like Mahomes throwing interceptions. It's when that he throws those interceptions. You know what I mean? Like there's a time and a place to play that style of football. And in the postseason, when time is running out, you're like, no, you need to be a game manager. You need to know the situation. And he wasn't that. And I think that was uncharacteristic for him. I don't think that that's going to be the rule for Patrick Mahomes. I think that it was more of the exception. But yeah, that's something that he's got to consider moving forward.
See, I get what you're saying, but I actually think it has become a little bit of the standard for Patrick Mahomes based on the way I'm seeing it. Obviously, you and I see it vastly different. I feel like he does play street ball a little bit too much, and sometimes he does it. And I guess this is where you and I agree that he does it in circumstances that don't call for a street ball type of play.
Mm-hmm. Listen, you don't always have to make the big play. Sometimes it's okay to throw the ball away.
Exactly.
The Chiefs are paying Patrick Mahomes to do Patrick Mahomes things, and a lot of times that's the street ball type of play that you're describing. It's like they wouldn't have gave him the amount of money for the amount of time that they would if they wanted him to become Trent Dilfer. Okay,
right.
They understand he's going to take chances. They understand he's going to turn the ball over. Yeah, it happens in opportune times, but you know what? You still have like one of the best, 2 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
You deal with it. You know what I mean?
Look at Brett Favre. Brett Favre used to lead the league in interceptions, and he would take teams to, great postseason Super Bowl runs, one. But
right.
You get my point, though. The point remains the same.
Right. I'm not saying like Patrick Mahomes needs to completely change his style and no longer be like what he is. I'm just saying I think he needs to dial it back.
If Patrick Mahomes isn't playing the way that Patrick Mahomes is playing, I mean, then like the Chiefs, the management, the coaching, and their fans would be incredibly upset because this is the way that they're going to win games is by Patrick Mahomes playing like this.
Yeah. He's got to he's going to have to make some throws that are going to get turned over. It's just going to happen.
It has to happen. He's a guy that is more successful than not. Okay, sure, there's a couple of ill-timed plays. That's going to happen when you play so much and you play so well for so long. That it's going to happen. But
it happens to the best. It happens to guys like Brady. He had moments where he would.
Oh, jeez. Who remembers after the Eagles Super Bowl when all they did was just post a picture of Tom Brady just short of the ball on their version of the Philly special that they ran?
I know, that was brutal.
That picture got spammed so much.
Yeah, so it happens. I agree. That's why I said with a guy like Patrick, you have to come to terms with the fact that like 12 to 15 interceptions, like he's gonna have to throw that like every year. Just like to put up the offensive numbers he puts up, you have to take risks.
Yeah, because with the 15 interceptions, he's gonna have like 40 something touchdowns.
Exactly. But if he starts playing conservative all the time, you're gonna look at that touchdown number come down to about 25. And then so. I think having him throw interceptions it's part of it, but I'm kind of right in the middle, Josh. I think that you're right that he needs to rein it in a little bit, but I also think that that's Patrick Mahomes. That's what you're paying him to do. You got to live and die with that guy, playing to his ability,
and that's fair.
So let's bring it back to the Browns now. After we had that little Patrick Mahomes diversion, Andrew Berry was speaking. It was very non-committal about the future of Jarvis Landry in Cleveland. Not very surprising. I've seen Andrew Berry speak more than enough times over the past 2 years. I've seen the way he's phrased things more than enough times over the past 2 years to know what the writing on the wall here is, and that's Jarvis Landry is not going to be here unless there's a complete change in discussions internally that we don't have privilege to read or hear.
Yep, I agree with you. I think he's gone. I think the Beckham experiment and how that turned out for him in LA definitely weighed into his some of his decision making with some of his tweets and his statements this offseason. I mean, he saw a guy get basically OBJ was set free and then he thrived, and he's thinking, okay, I'm a guy that's getting up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many more times am I going to get a shot at this thing?
He's got probably one.
He's
got one shot for a big payday. He's going to have to sign some 1-year deal somewhere for, I don't know, probably like $5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to have to have a hell of a season to set himself up to get like a 5-year deal.
Yeah,
I think that's his game plan.
Yeah, I think he'd be thrilled if he can get a 5-year deal anywhere. I think that he'll be thrilled with that. But yeah, I think the writing's been on the wall since the season ended that he was going to follow in OBJ's footsteps probably and be on his way out the door.
So we should draft a receiver.
I mean, the Browns need to draft a receiver, sure, but I mean, if they move on from Landry, you're going to need to fill the first, second, and third receiver spots
with Hollywood Higgins.
What?
With Hollywood Higgins?
No. He's gone. Hollywood Higgins is leaving.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
They're not bringing him back again. They're not running this back again with him.
They could have signed another 1-year deal with him.
No,
I want to go. I'm tired of him. Okay, he's not good. This is the third coaching staff we've seen like basically be non-committal to Hollywood Higgins. Why did I say Hollywood? Rashard Higgins. Okay, there's one Hollywood in this division, and it ain't him. There's one Higgins in this division, and it also ain't him. Okay, let's be real here. But like we've seen,
why is he on this team for 5 or 6 years?
Who gives a shit how long he's been here? He's not
so
good.
what? That part doesn't matter, Church.
He's not. Do you want another 4th, 5th receiver? Because you already have one in Donovan Peoples-Jones. Do you really need another one?
No.
Who's our best receiver right now?
Currently, because he's still on the roster, Jarvis Landry. And
Right.
he's gone,
DPJ, unfortunately.
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. You would need to fill in the first, second, and third receiver spots when they get rid of Landry.
David Njoku could be a receiver.
No, don't worry. He's on our topics of discussion, and no, he can't.
No.
He can't lose weight and become a receiver.
No.
To lose weight, he has terrible hands.
Yeah, he's not a wide receiver.
Let me look at his stats.
His stats are pathetic. Okay, I got into a conversation the other day on Twitter with someone trying to show how unproductive he's been over his entire career. Do you know he's more likely to have 0 to 20 yards receiving in a game than 21 or more?
That's incredible.
That's terrible.
That's awful.
All right, this season,
Especially when you see guys like Mark
bad.
Andrews and Travis Kelce and all the, Kittle, like there's guys all over the league putting up huge numbers at tight end.
And we're seeing, David Njoku with 2 catches for 19 yards.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are we doing?
He has 4 touchdowns this season.
And they're talking about paying him to, double, like $10 million a year. Like it's ridiculous.
They're talking about doing that?
They're talking about exceeding double digits in average annual value for David Njoku. And that would be the mistake on top of mistakes. Okay. If we're looking at something that's going to age like milk in the hot sun, it would be a double-digit figure salary for David Njoku on this team. That would be the lasting legacy of the Andrew Berry regime after they sign him and they get canned after all of this completely blows up in their face next year.
And Njoku is very similar to DPJ. He's a guy that, like, in shorts and a T-shirt, like, he looks incredible. He's a freak athlete. I mean, combine, he's going to blow you out of the water in every category, but he just he can't catch the damn ball, and he's not a wide receiver. He's not. And it's just crazy to me. And this is part of the problem is that we get guys like him, and because
he had 36 receptions last season.
So what?
Who cares? Go look at Travis Kelce's numbers.
Yeah.
Go look at George. I was calling Greg Kittle. Thanks,
Mark Andrews.
George Kittle.
Mark Andrews in the division.
Yeah, Mark.
Go look at the best tight ends. Okay, he's not one of them.
Not even close.
Shit, look at Austin Hooper's numbers before he came here. Okay.
David Njoku's okay.
Out of the water.
Shit, look at even CJ Uzama's numbers in Cincinnati. I mean, yeah.
They're all better than his.
David Njoku, you think he needs to go?
Yes.
Let this clown walk. I don't know what we're doing here. Like, why? He has
so many bigger issues on this team, and he's a guy we're talking about throwing $10 million a year at. It's ridiculous.
We shouldn't. He's
There's no reason to. I mean, he's a guy who, yes, he is a physical specimen. That's awesome. Okay. But that's his own downfall. He doesn't have refined skills. He uses his size to essentially box out and muscle out defenders around him. Okay.
How did he get 4 touchdowns? And he was mediocre this season.
Who cares? People are talking like David Njoku had the season of all seasons this year. Are you kidding?
His best season was his second
You'll
season.
pull your hair out in clumps, jerk. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this: David Njoku is the Duke Johnson of tight ends. Okay.
Ooh.
He's incredibly overrated by everyone in this fan base and by people that think he needs to play more and get more opportunities. He's just not special. I'm sorry. He's not.
He's not. Never has been, never will be.
We're 5 years in and we're still talking about raw and developing. What the hell are we doing? People are like, we can't let someone else capitalize that. Don't fall into into sunk cost fallacy. Okay, you whipped on this draft pick. You shouldn't have picked up the 5th-year option. You've paid him, I don't know, 4 times as much money than you should have.
Cut your losses and go.
Thank you. Cut your losses. Stop. Don't invest more money in something that you don't know is going to turn into anything that's average, because he's not even average. He's not good. Yeah, sure, he's improved as a run blocker and pass blocker, but that's only because he was dog shit before. Okay?
I remember, James, we're building like an expansion team, though.
Yeah.
Then how do we get the playoff?
Brian, Andrew Berry's philosophy now, we're building like an expansion team.
So, do you think that was a lucky season, James?
Yes.
What, 2020?
Mm-hmm.
It's an anomaly. Not going to happen again.
Yeah. Because, Jerk, think about this for a second. As soon as that 2020 season happened, what did all the experts say? This team's going to win the Super Bowl next year. This team's going to win the AFC Championship. Blah, 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 blah. They didn't even come close to that.
So I'll throw this at you too. Okay. You look at 2020. You look at all the obvious deficiencies that roster had. They did their version of essentially going all in. Okay. They added Jadeveon Clowney. They got Johnson. They got Troy Hill. Odell Beckham Jr. was coming back from his injury. They
drafted a quarterback.
They drafted J.O.K. They drafted Greg Newsome. Greedy Williams actually played. Okay.
Was he good?
They flopped so fucking hard. Okay. That should be telling you everything you know about.
That's because OBJ left.
What?
Because OBJ left.
It has nothing to do with OBJ. It has everything to do with the fact that this team wasn't that good in 2020. Okay.
Right.
There was a very good indicator that this was going to happen. And it's not surprising that it did. The Browns had a unreal record in 2020 in one-score games, and it flipped last year. That's how it usually goes. And your record in one-score games usually flips from year to year. Okay.
And most of those games we were winning, they were like really close games against bad teams. And we lost to the Jets, too.
I mean, yeah, we lost to the Jets. We also had starting wide receiver Jamarcus Bradley. Okay.
We should bring him back.
He's on the team currently, but he'll be a free agent, and they'll probably let him go or sign with practice.
Are you glad he's on the team?
Who?
Sure. I don't know what the heck.
But either way, the Browns should not even waste their time with trying to pay David Njoku a lot of money. Okay.
No.
He's already overpaid as is. Okay. Paying him more than that would be a complete mistake. What did you say?
Baker giving him an extension too.
No, we're not doing that. There's no way they're doing that.
He doesn't deserve an extension to begin with.
And let me just say, I'm glad that I was proven right about all of this shit, because a year ago, you guys all called me insane for my takes about this team. But look what happened. I told you Baker Mayfield wasn't special. I told you that this team had a very good chance of regression. I told you that David Njoku was not going to be that good. Oh,
yeah, I'm not going to lie. You laid it all out in black and white for us at the beginning of the year, and you kind of hit it all right on the head. So with that being said, but who do you take with that first round pick if you're Andrew Berry and you're building an expansion team?
I'm building an expansion team.
Okay. If that's the case, I'm going to University of Pittsburgh and taking Kenny Pickett. Bye-bye, Baker Mayfield.
Do you think there's a possibility we use that first round pick on a quarterback?
Yeah. I think it's possible.
Yeah,
I absolutely do think it's possible. But
on that note too, we were talking about colleges that guys come from where they don't have success. Let's look at some guys that come from the University of Pittsburgh. One in Aaron Donald, who was on the edge of winning Super Bowl MVP.
Mm-hmm.
They put out some good players, man. Like
they do. You go a little bit older, Dan Marino.
Yep, Dan Marino, of course.
A little older, but not too old. Larry Fitzgerald.
Yep, Larry Fitz. He was amazing there. He had that streak of like 17 straight games with a touchdown catch. It was incredible. Pittsburgh players play very well in the NFL when they get drafted.
Forgot about Darrelle Revis too.
Darrelle
Revis came from there.
Yeah, even more. Yeah, I like Kenny
on the basketball end. Steven Adams.
I hate to say it, Pickett reminds me a lot of Roethlisberger in this draft, just in terms of like his build and a guy that isn't like people aren't crazy high on him, but he's you know what I mean. It feels a lot like that Roethlisberger type player where he can come in and be a staple in this division for years to come. I like him. I don't know, but I don't know about the other guys though. That's the problem. Is it's either Kenny Pickett or bust if you ask me. Coral, maybe. I don't know. I need to watch a little bit more tape on him. I didn't watch all of his games, but I like what I see from Pickett, though. So if he's there, I've got no problem with them taking that.
I mean, here's the thing,
too. Garoppolo, too?
First of all, for some reason, I thought Khalil Mack also went to Pitt, but I stand corrected. He went to University of Buffalo, so my mistake on that one.
Mack school, though.
Yes.
Not out.
So, but the thing is, like, our offensive line, I have a bunch of question marks about it still. So
where?
Huh?
Where?
Just as a unit, more in general, because towards the end of the season,
the issue, though, really for us as a unit, it was more just health, was it not?
It was health for the most part. It wasn't inability. Sure. If you want to have questions, there's one player on the entire offensive line there's a question on. This is Jedrick Wills. What is he? Okay. I think he's probably a league average left tackle, and that's fine. But you're not gonna. He's out of the 5 starters, he's the worst starter.
And that's the most important position for a running team like us, that left tackle position.
You rank him 5th among the 5. If you want to have questions, it's if they get rid of J.C. Treader, which seems like it's a very possibility. That's when questions start to open up a little bit. Yeah. Do they go with Nick Harris as their starting center, or do they look for outside help? Do they draft someone? Do they sign someone? If you want to talk about another question, I guess, is Jack Conklin and how much he actually plays this year. Okay. They did restructure his deal, but he had a torn patellar tendon. He could miss like half the season. So
that's a bad injury for a lineman.
Yeah.
And so if you want to talk about questions, I guess more it's going to be about Jack Conklin. It's going to be about how they're going to handle Wills. But until they get rid of J.C. Treader, I'm not going to call like the offensive line like a liability or like an area where I'm really concerned about their ability to perform.
The defensive line, on the other hand,
that's a fucking dumpster outside of Myles Garrett.
Right. I'm not saying the offensive line is like atrocious and needs a ton of work, but I saw some things from it last season that had me concerned. And like, I don't know if any quarterback could necessarily. There were times where I'm like, could any quarterback really survive behind this offensive line? So that's why I'm like hesitant to draft a quarterback.
I mean, if they're going to draft a quarterback, this is probably one of the best offensive lines a drafted quarterback could be playing behind. Okay, they're still one of the better offensive line units in all football. A lot of the bad signs you saw were when we didn't see the starters in. And while you can't count on your starters for all 16, 17 games now, I mean, how many games do we see Michael Dunn and Blake Hance play? Okay, we had a game where Joel Bitonio played left tackle. Okay, he played that position since college. Okay, so offensive line issues, I'm not really worried about it.
You think we should bring back Alex Mack?
He is happy in San Francisco.
He's doing good still.
He's still doing good. He's followed Kyle Shanahan everywhere pretty much, which is a good career move for him.
He's a Hall of Famer.
He's probably a Hall of Famer. I'll agree with you on that one.
And they'll say Cleveland.
No, he will not.
You wouldn't want to retire with us?
I mean, the NFL Hall of Fame is different from baseball, where you don't have guys putting on caps with team logos. Okay, but if we're talking about what team Alex Mack is going to want to reference when he goes into the Hall of Fame, it's going to be Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. You don't think it's going to be Cleveland?
No.
I think
played
that
most of his career here.
So?
No, he didn't.
I think that a guy like Trayvon Walker out of Georgia, defensive end, is worth a look. There's some guys in this first round
what about the Greek
tackle Jordan Davis out of Georgia? I mean, that Georgia defensive line was incredible. Obviously, they're going to get some attention, but yeah, there's some good like defensive line talent that's going to be available at that position. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to take one of those guys either.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I'm with you there.
Maybe potentially.
Church, you mentioned the Greek guy George Karlaftis, another option for them at 13. I do think what happens with how they deal with Jadeveon Clowney impacts that, because if they somehow keep Jadeveon Clowney, taking a defensive end at 13 would be incredibly dumb.
They already extended another year for Jadeveon.
They haven't done that. He's going to be a free agent.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes, I am 100% sure Jadeveon Clowney is a free agent. So, we're looking at, I guess, that roster decision. If they have Clowney, they're not going to take a defensive end.
No. I'm working on the assumption they're moving on, because that's kind of optimism on my part.
Same.
Yeah.
And so there was a report today that they're going to let Jadeveon Clowney test free agency in order to gauge his value. Okay. And again, things that we've seen the Browns A, do, and B, say, that means he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. We've seen this before. Okay. Where they let someone go test free agency. If they're not like rushing to go re-sign him, that tells you everything you need to know. They're not going to re-sign him.
Right.
That's what it is.
For a max?
They're not re-signing him at all. He's gone.
He had those 9 sacks.
That was his best year in 4 seasons. That was his healthiest year in 3.
And we still didn't get to the playoffs.
Okay, so they view Jadeveon Clowney as like this final piece, this crown jewel for their defense. It wasn't that. They were still an average unit. Okay.
Yeah.
And
why did they do that? Was he even a good run stopper?
He's a very overrated run stopper. He's a very overrated pass rusher. I'll tell you what Jadeveon Clowney is. He's good for about 2.5 seconds of chaos every play he's on. Okay. Because he gives you 100% energy for the play he's on. And that's great, but sometimes that leads to him over pursuing plays. And if he's not going against a very weak right tackle or someone who doesn't completely whiff on a block, he's not getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just reality. I don't think Jadeveon Clowney repeats this season again in his career. I don't think he stays this healthy again in his career. There's so much data that points in the other direction.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's getting older, so.
And the other thing
29.
too is he was that part of the reason I think he was that productive is because he was paired with Myles Garrett.
100%.
I mean, that's a lot to do with it. I mean, that was the best defensive player he's played with since J.J. Watt. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm like, if you're going to let him go test free agency, I don't think they're going to re-sign him. I think he's gone.
Yeah, I really agree. Which I'm sure you're
If
happy
you do re-sign him,
about.
would you say that's a bad Andrew?
What'd you say?
Go on.
What was your question, Jerk?
If they were to re-sign Clowney for a max?
First of all, there's no such thing as a max deal in the NFL. 1. 2, if they did sign into a very large contract, I'd be very upset for the reasons I just stated. He's not going to stay this healthy again. He's not going to be this productive again.
There's too much talent in the draft too that it's way cheaper.
Right. James, I remember your reaction when we were still doing this show, like in the podcast room at OMS. And
I hated it. That signing worked out better than I thought it was going to. I will admit that.
I was a little higher on that one, and it was for the reason that Josh just said. He's going to be paired with Myles Garrett. So I did expect him to produce more than he was, before he got here. But James, you're right. Like everything went perfect for him this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like the odds of that happening again are slim.
It's
none.
He's never going to play better than he did last year.
You're correct. What he did is he did the complete opposite of what I want the Browns to do with David Njoku a couple years ago. Jadeveon Clowney then assisted the Browns. Okay,
He sure did.
That's exactly what he did. He came in for his 1-year deal. He performed at a level he's never going to again. Some team's going to overpay him.
Yep.
Enjoy Detroit, Jadeveon, okay? Because they're going to pay you a lot of money. And that's what he's already stated is his primary factor is money. Okay, go have fun playing for the Texans, but go have fun playing for the Jaguars or the Lions or some other trash team that's going to pay you too much money.
Yeah. What if the Rams get him?
The Rams aren't going to pay him that much money.
Yeah.
I don't think they can afford to pay him that much money, anyways.
No, they're not.
Or the Lions.
The Lions will have money to burn. Okay, that's what that is. Go enjoy playing for the Commanders, Clowney.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Hey, him and Chase Young could be a good duo.
They might be.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that'd be a good fit for him. I think that would be a nice landing spot for him, actually.
That would, but that's assuming Clowney stays healthy again. I mean, and that's just an assumption that's foolish to make.
Also, have to assume Chase Young stays healthy too. And if he goes out and Clowney's high, he's going to start getting those double teams. There's no chance he's going to work through a double team.
Exactly.
Or maybe Clowney wants to go to a tax-free state. Maybe he goes play for the Dolphins.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Go play in Miami. Go do the Ndamukong Suh route. Go play for Miami in your late 20s, early 30s.
Or Jacksonville, yeah.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Duval.
Don't forget Tampa Bay.
They don't have any money to sign him.
No, Tampa Bay's packed to the gills in terms of luxury tax and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to go seek a place where there's no income tax. So Florida or Texas or Arizona.
Yep, probably.
Yeah, probably 100%. Well, I shouldn't say 100%, but
that's what I see.
Yes.
But the topic we've all been waiting for, at least I've been waiting for, in regards to Baker Mayfield, and I've been trying to push the Baker Mayfield conversation as much as possible. It was on the Athletic Football Show. I don't know if you guys listen to that show, but great podcast to listen to for NFL content. But they were speaking with Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports about a potential QB carousel. And he made a comment about the Browns and Baker Mayfield in regards to if they brought in someone to be competition for Baker. He said that would not fly, essentially. Like, he would say, I'm here to be the starter. If you're bringing someone else to compete with me, get rid of me.
I believe that. He's always been like that. He was like that in college at Texas Tech. He went to Oklahoma, and he's like that now. I totally agree. If he's the guy, and he needs that reassurance too, because he's soft. Like, he needs to know he's the guy. He needs that love. He needs that adoration. Mm-hmm. And if he's not, if it's questionable or he's competing with somebody else, he's going to do exactly what we're saying. He's going to just say, I'm not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Trade me or I'm not playing. It's that.
Yeah. He's a cocky son of a bitch.
The whole situation.
He is a cocky son of a bitch.
Yeah, he is. And let's be real here. Has Baker Mayfield really earned the luxury of not having competition?
No.
Has he earned the luxury of a team that has him as their starting quarterback not looking for somebody else?
No.
He hasn't. Whether that's a free agent signing, even some of those guys that are bottom of the barrel former draft busts like Marcus Mariota or Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Or if they draft a quarterback in this draft. You know what I mean?
Trubisky could be good for us. He could be a good fit.
I don't think he's anything special. But if that's probably the caliber of guy you're going to get as your backup quarterback, or a competition for Baker Mayfield, because let's face it, it's competition. Contrary to the people on the internet that are trying to say, just get rid of Case Keenum and have Nick Mullins be the backup. We saw Nick Mullins play. He fucking sucks.
Terrible.
Okay.
You don't like Nick Mullins?
Nick Mullins is awful.
Oh. We won with him.
Who cares? Nick Mullins is terrible.
The Browns, wait.
They won in spite of him.
Yeah, let's be clear here. Okay. Nick Mullins is good.
Sure. What game did the Browns win with Nick Mullins as their quarterback? Because they didn't beat the Raiders when he was their quarterback.
Let's see. I'm checking. Do you think
Case
Nick Mullins
Keenum
should be a
was the
superstar?
What?
You heard
In
me.
case. No, I didn't actually.
They lost the game with Nick Mullins. They were 0-1. He went 20 of 30 for 147 yards.
Yeah, you're right. No, he won one game. Actually, no, wait.
No, he did not win a game this year. He was
No.
0-1.
No, he did
I'm
not.
literally looking at his Pro Football Reference page right now. He was 0-1 this year.
Sure. He did not. He was not the starting quarterback when we beat Cincinnati in 2018. It was Case Keenum. I was there. I know what the hell I'm talking about, dude.
You're right. It was Case Keenum, and I was so hyped about him. I thought he was going to be the next. And
that's because
he didn't
end up anybody that has a pulse. Like, if they have a pulse and they're playing for Cleveland, like, you think that they could be the next, like,
Bruce Gronkowski
syndrome with the Browns as well.
But let's be real here.
You remember him, James?
I remember Bruce Gronkowski. But let's be real here. Like, the Browns are going to have to do something with the quarterback position because standing pats, you can't do it. Committing to Baker Mayfield is committing to failure. You can't do that.
Yep, I agree.
I would agree. I'm not opposed to bringing in Marcus Mariota.
I mean, either are fine.
Yeah,
if it's Mariota or Trubisky, neither guy really moves the needle a whole bunch for me, but something. They have to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't stand put. If they do, it's a lost season. I mean, we're not going to make the playoffs with Baker.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs next year anyways, but that's
right. The AFC is way too loaded anyway. You got Cincinnati. You got Baltimore's going to be back. They just had an injury-riddled season. Pittsburgh don't know what to expect from the Steelers, so they could still be in the mix.
I mean, they're going to be swinging for quarterback. Okay, they're going to be looking for a trade for an already established guy is what they're going to be doing.
Exactly.
I think Garoppolo's a guy that could fit in Pittsburgh well.
I mean, they're going to be in the Garoppolo discussion. They're going to be in the Deshaun Watson discussion.
Yeah.
Whatever is going on with Aaron Rodgers, they're always in that discussion.
Right.
how much he's spoken about how much he loves Pittsburgh. Okay. Shout out Pat McAfee show for all of that content. But
yeah, that was hilarious.
Any of the quarterbacks that could be on the move, they're going to be in discussions for that because despite the reports and statements, out of Pittsburgh about Mason Rudolph being their guy, he's not their guy.
No. That would be a bigger mistake for Pittsburgh. Well, not a bigger one, but it would be on par with the Cleveland Browns staying with Baker. It's just not an option for them. It shouldn't be an option for them. They seem to be high on Malik Willis. I don't know. To me, he feels like another Kyler Murray type player. I don't know. We'll see. But Pittsburgh had a guy for a long time in Ben Roethlisberger, and they're going to be looking for that kind of stability and that type of player. I don't anticipate them. I don't know. I just can't imagine them putting their faith in a guy like Malik Willis. I think that they're more inclined to go the free agent route or trade and get a guy like Garoppolo or a guy like Aaron Rodgers if Rodgers goes anywhere. But according to Gutekunst of the Green Bay Packers, he says that his phone hasn't rang one time in regards to a trade package for Aaron Rodgers. He said,
I call bullshit. I call bullshit.
So you think it's bullshit? What do you read into it, James?
I don't know if it's accurate or not, but Aaron Rodgers is an interesting individual, and there are going to be a lot of teams looking at the guys in the draft, other quarterbacks who are going to be available who are younger than him. So most notably Deshaun Watson. Okay. Because I think that's really the domino that's going to set off all the other movement is what happens with Deshaun Watson, whether or not he becomes available to be traded or if the Texans just hang on to him and do nothing because Texans are dumb.
I could see them doing that.
Yeah.
Or if he has the legal stuff that prevents him from playing, or if NFL suspends him for an undetermined amount of time. Because even if he's not charged with anything legally, the NFL can be like, we're suspending you.
Yeah. They have that conduct detrimental to the league rule that is they can use that on pretty much anything with the way how open worded it is.
It's like a blank check to use that. They can choose how they want to.
That was their security system that they put in place, and it's been what they've used on guys for a long time now, and I imagine that's what they would use on him if they do go the route of suspension.
So, I mean, this is kind of like that weird period where it's the combine. This is really when the discussions start to happen. So, as far as, Gunther Kuntz saying that they haven't gotten any phone calls, it's probably believable because those conversations happen this week.
Right.
Where everyone's together at the combine, hanging out at St. Elmo's, getting some steaks.
Yep.
Drinking, getting completely drunk at the bars in Indy and staying out past like 2 a.m.
With guys like Ian Rappaport, that booze bag.
I just feel like discussions are like quietly happening. Like maybe
he could have had discussions in person, but his phone didn't ring. He could be not lying about his phone not ringing, but having discussions in person in Indy.
Yeah, right. But here's
he could have 100 emails.
It could have been a text message, an email, or a DM.
And coaches,
are you referencing a certain Raiders coach?
No, I'm not referencing Raiders coach. I'm just saying, like, is there ways to communicate without the phone actually ringing?
Yeah. You could be honest and deceitful at the same time. And I think that's what we're saying here is that he could say, like, oh, well, my phone hasn't rang once. And he could be telling the truth, but he might be a guy that keeps his phone on vibrate. So his phone never rings.
Yeah.
Not lying.
That's half true.
Not lying. And it's about leverage in this league, So if he thinks that making that statement can give him some kind of leverage in the Aaron Rodgers situation, that's why he's going to make it. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if this is complete bullshit. But like James said, I think that it might just be that it's not time for those discussions yet. It hasn't been. It's getting close, but, yeah, it just hasn't been time yet.
And I think that's
the free agency starts. Once we get closer to there, once we see the franchise tag window open and close, and see which commitments teams make in that regard. Once you see all the other things, because there's no rush to trade him right now. There isn't. They don't need to. Once we get closer to free agency starting, when teams start to make other moves, when teams start to get an idea, when you start pitching to possible pass catchers as who your quarterback might be, that's when those conversations start to happen. Like, hey, we're in trade talks with a certain team in Green Bay about a certain quarterback. You'll be having that guy throw the ball to you, not this bum we currently have on our roster.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Then conversations with guys like Jarvis Landry are going a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I understand what you guys are saying, but the main reason I'm calling bullshit is because I just feel like we've known Gutekunst to be a liar before, so at this point, I don't take things at his word anymore. So for me, it's like I think his phone has rung a couple times. He just doesn't want it. He just doesn't want to admit it and come out and say, "Yeah, I lied again."
I think it's more likely that he just hasn't had a phone conversation about it, to be honest.
I think so too.
That's probably what it is. There's probably been conversations, but again, in person, through text message, through email, through DM, through one of those apps where that messages disappear after 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's probably through one of those, not an actual phone call.
Yeah.
But throwing this at you right now before we I saw this on Twitter earlier today, and it said the Browns are plus 750 according to PFF's bet account, because they have that now, to sign Chris Godwin in free agency. And I'm like, no chance he comes here.
What?
Yes.
No.
The only chance he would come here is if Tom Brady was signing with us, and that ain't happening.
Chris Godwin's coming here.
No, he's not. He's
No,
not going to come here.
He-
Because let me
he
ask you
knows
this:
how-
if you're a pass catcher, would you come to Cleveland?
No.
Yes.
You would want to go from a guy like Tom Brady to a guy like Baker Mayfield.
Of course.
No.
With assuming that they don't make a change at the quarterback position, you would go from Tom Brady playing in a Super Bowl to having Baker Mayfield be your quarterback, where we literally just saw him run someone out of town, and that guy won a Super Bowl elsewhere.
I'll make him look
and
good.
David Njoku is your team's leading receiver, also, other than you. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would make him look good.
Joining.
that's not
That is
how it
about-
works, man. That's not how it works, Chirk.
Yeah, Chirk,
What?
that is not at all how it works, my dude.
I mean, Chris Godwin's not going to want to come here. He's going to go to pretty much anywhere else. Okay. And I tweeted this, but let's say you're a free agent pass catcher. Why would you talk to the Browns?
How did
He wouldn't-
Odell come to the Browns?
He was traded here.
He
Yeah.
Want to be here?
Choice.
It wasn't his choice. So like you look at this, if you're a free agent and you're a top free agent, are you going to come here? No. The guys you're going to attract are like Kenny Britt, okay, or late career Dwayne Bowe, okay.
Yeah.
Two terrible investments by the Browns, both of them. Okay.
What
Yep.
about Miles Austin too?
The 1 year of Miles Austin was fine, but that's because we knew what his role was. It wasn't a starting receiver. He was like the third guy, and that's fine.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and I also said this, like, if I'm a good receiver and I get traded to Cleveland, I pull a Gronk and say, I retire. Don't trade me there. If you
Same.
trade me there, I'm retiring.
Yep. A lot of guys are going that route.
Why don't they want to come to Cleveland? This is a great city.
It has nothing to do with the city, Chirk. It has everything to do with the quarterback. They know they're not going to be able to produce. They're not going to be able to succeed. And they'll get blamed. And they'll get thrown under the bus. And then their career is get thrown in the toilet because Baker Mayfield can't complete a 5-yard out pass. Okay?
That's what they're thinking in their heads?
That's what their realization is when they're evaluating their options in free agency. Okay? How am I going to make money? How am I going to make money, not just this contract, but the next contract?
Maybe
Right.
we'll get
What does it
A.J.
look
Brown.
like? What does it look like if I go to Cleveland and it unfolds the exact same way like Odell Beckham Jr. does? And then I get thrown on the trash heap. Okay.
Maybe we get Amari Cooper.
A lot of guys are looking to what happened to OBJ here in Cleveland and going, yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah, they want nothing to do with that. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, Kevin Stefanski's offensive system is not necessarily wide receiver friendly to begin with. Okay.
No.
There were issues in Minnesota before he came here. Okay. I know there are certain individuals who point to Stephon Diggs' stats, but okay, do you remember him getting upset on the sidelines? Because I remember that happening.
Yeah.
Do you remember when
That happened. Okay. We saw what happened here with Odell Beckham Jr. and how it just didn't work. Okay, any free agent receiver is going to be very aware of that. If they can pick and choose where they want to go, why would they go here? Especially when they have a lesser quarterback than Stefanski did in Minnesota.
Exactly. And James, on top of that, do you remember Adam Thielen? There was a period of time where he was upset with the number of catches passes he was getting.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, when you have this system, it's not wide receiver friendly. Okay, then you add in the quarterback who's not very good, and it's not a great situation for pass catchers, mainly receivers. Okay, if you're looking towards guys you're not going to get anyone special. I know a lot of people are high on DJ Chark for some reason, but I don't get it.
I don't agree.
No thanks.
It's just you're not going to get anyone good. The only way you're going to get a good receiver on the team is if you draft one. Where it's
what if we get Devontae Adams?
We're not going to get Devontae Adams because they're franchise tag him.
Yeah, and even if Green Bay stupidly doesn't franchise tag him, he's not going to go from Aaron Rodgers to Baker Mayfield.
He'll go play for Vegas.
Yeah. With Derek Carr.
Maybe that's the
way better situation.
That's what we need.
I mean,
what do we need?
Derek Carr.
Oh, we're not going to get him now.
No.
Yeah, too late for that.
He's not leaving Vegas.
It's too late for that now.
We could trade for him.
He's not leaving. They're not trading him.
We could trade him.
No. Vegas isn't trading. Derek Carr.
Sure. Think of it. I want you to understand this. Josh McDaniels would not have signed on to be the Raiders head coach if he did not know for sure that Derek Carr was going to be quarterback. He's not that type of coach. So the Raiders are not going to trade Derek Carr. Get it?
Let me just add on to that point there. Who remembers what happened Josh McDaniels' first time around as a head coach, where he ran Jay Cutler out of town?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
He did not want to duplicate that same mistake. They're keeping Derek Carr in Vegas.
Yeah.
He lost the team at that moment that he did that.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah.
There.
I mean,
he's not going to do it again. He's not going to duplicate that.
Josh McDaniels needs to succeed in Vegas, though, because I don't know about you guys, but I still hold what he did to Indianapolis against him, where he said he was going.
Who cares? I don't care. You know what? He probably had information we don't have about what was going on with that roster. You know what I mean? Because how many more seasons did Andrew Luck play after McDaniels left? One?
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
And let's be honest here. People like to throw that the Indy thing against McDaniels. If you're going to do that, throw the New York Jets thing against Bill Belichick, because he did the exact same thing to them.
True.
Yeah.
In his introductory press conference, he resigned. Okay.
Yeah, that's a fair argument, actually. I didn't even think about it, but now that you mention it, totally valid.
And how long ago was that now? You know, let's be real here. How long ago was the Indy thing?
Oh God.
Was that 5 years ago now?
At least. Yeah. Maybe I do need to move on from it.
4 years? It's been a minute, okay? It's not like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Anymore.
God damn it, James. Why are you so good at making people change their minds? I hate you.
Very persuasive.
I can be.
No, I mean, when you back up your opinions with facts and data, I mean, it is very convincing. And this is one of those arguments that all of the facts and data point in one direction. So,
I mean, people still want to hold a lot of the things that went on in Denver against McDaniels. That was 13 years ago.
30 years old. Yeah.
He was like our age, Brian.
Right. He was literally our age. And
yeah. So, and he went back to New England. He learned a lot. Okay. He grew. I mean, how much information have you learned in the past 10 years of your life, and how much more stuff are you going to learn in the next 10 years of your life? Okay. Right. So think about it and apply that to McDaniels in the way that he's going to approach his second and probably final chance to be a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah. God, with him as the head coach in Vegas, he's gonna have to play Denver twice a year. I wonder what that dynamic.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
No, I know.
He's not doing it at all.
Again, one more thing. Bill Belichick has played the Jets twice a year for 22 years now.
Good point.
I'm just wondering what that dynamic is going to be like. That's all.
He's not going to care. He's not going to care. I mean, there's going to be, Broncos fans bitching about it, and, they'll have stupid signs, and you'll see them do stuff at tailgates before they play the Raiders. But that's really about it.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not going to be like, oh my God, I'm going back to where I feel as a head coach. That's not how they think. That's not how coaches think. That's not how NFL players think to begin with. But that's not how he's going to think about it.
Yeah.
He's just going to be like, we're playing Denver this week.
Yeah, I think he's got the blinders on right now, and all he's focused on is week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever the hell the Raiders play, I have no idea who they're going to be playing.
No clue.
We'll find out later when the schedules actually come out of who they play and when. But looking at them, I mean, I think they're a franchise going in the right direction.
I think so too.
And let me just say, the massive victory lap I will take if the Dave Ziegler Josh McDaniels combo works and has success, and the current version in Cleveland fizzles out like it is on the trajectory to do so. Oh my God, I will take such a massive victory lap.
Oh, it's coming.
I've been sitting here collecting receipts for 2 years now. We talked about this yesterday, Brian. I can be very petty if I want to.
Oh,
I've been sitting here waiting.
Yeah, we're keeping receipts. We're keeping the receipts.
Yeah, I'm sure. And watching Kyle Shanahan have success in San Francisco and the success he had in Atlanta, I have a couple of receipts myself too.
I mean, I'll put it to you this way. A year ago, I was advocating for the Browns to trade for Matthew Stafford before he went to LA. Okay.
I remember that.
I was ahead of the curve before it happened. I'm like, you know what? I want them to get Matthew Stafford because I realized that Baker Mayfield has a ceiling, and at his best, he's probably Jared Goff. Okay. Yeah. I don't even think he's that good anymore. That's what I thought a year ago. Okay.
Yeah, and you look at the Rams, they were in the exact same position that we were in. They had a team with pieces on it, and it was win now mode. And they made a move. They moved on from a mediocre quarterback to one that can take them where they're capable of. And until they made that move, they weren't going to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Browns are at right now. And it's like we just saw it in LA. Mm-hmm. Like, hello, the writing is on the wall. Like like they laid it out for everybody to see how to do this, And
the fact that Stafford was throwing touchdowns to Beckham, where that would have been, I don't know, here if they would have traded for Stafford last year, that just was just like that confirmed what my wishes, my desires, what I wanted the team to do last year. Yeah, so this is working. It's not going to work with Baker and OBJ.
No, it's not. I knew right away when we made that trade, I was excited about it because we brought in a star player. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute. Baker's too good to be true. There's no way this is going to work.
It did.
Yeah, and that 11-5 season was very fluky too. There's a lot of things that just aren't. I don't know. It's a very anomalous season in a number of ways, and I think that the numbers don't tell the whole story. But the numbers aren't good either. That's another point I had with like somebody who was like, the numbers and the tape are two different things. Like, yeah, that's true. But when both are bad, then all signs are pointing one way. And I just don't know why or how people are still supporting Baker Mayfield being the answer as starting quarterback this season. I don't know how people are entertaining it. And then for Andrew Berry to come out and say, he's our guy. I fully expect him to be the starter day one, and we're planning to build around him like an expansion team. I don't know.
I don't like that comment, but for what it's worth, I mean, the Cardinals did say that same thing about Josh Rosen.
We saw that worked out.
Yeah. So I'm already preparing for us to finish in last place this season. And
same.
Yep.
Well, at least we've all accepted it. The lower your expectations, the higher your serenity level.
And the lower expectations, the lower your expectations, the more they surprise you. For all you know, this could be a Super Bowl team.
Oh
my God.
They have so, put it this way. They have so many things that they need to address, so many holes that they need to plug, so many positions that they need to get not just starters, but backups for. Like you can't do it in a season, much less 2 seasons, and that's where they're at.
When we had that good season, did you think Super Bowl or no?
No.
When we beat the Steelers.
My high projection for this year before the season started was to get exactly where they were last year, and they even failed at that.
Yep.
And I thought
they were last season.
My projection was relatively level-headed, but with that, we do have to call it a day because it is 4:00.
Yep. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.
Super Bowl, Super Browns.
And that's how we are ending it.